But anyway, I'm really pleased for this last, for now, FOREXT Friday, to have Venla and Arnaldo, who are going to be talking about the Nomadi project, which is basically giving an overview of sort of digital and innovative services available to forest owners. So if I pass over to, is it you, Venla, first? And then there'll be an opportunity to ask questions afterwards, but please do put questions in the chat, or at the end, put your hand up. Anyway, I'll leave it to you two. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mark, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us here. My name is Venla Vallius, and I'm a researcher at the EFI headquarters here in Joensuu. And today, my colleague Arnaldo Marques will present an overview of different digital and innovative forest services globally, as Mark already mentioned. Arnaldo, could you share the screen?
Yes, just a second, I'll share it.
Yeah, and as mentioned, this mapping exercise is one of the first steps in our project called Nomadi. I'll quickly go through the project first, as there are some future collaboration possibilities with the FOREXT network as well, I believe. So all questions and comments are very welcome. Arnaldo, you can go straight to the second slide when you're ready.
Can you see my screen? It's working?
We can still see it in the mode you can edit, so not in a presentation.
Okay. Just a second. It's running here.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. And you can go directly to the second slide. So the full name of the Nomadi project is Green Growth for the Bioeconomy of North Karelia through Digital Transformation of Forest Services. So it is a project with specific focus on the region of North Karelia here in eastern Finland, but it also has some international elements. Now we can still see the edit view. Arnaldo?
Yes, it's, well, just a second. It's stuck, yeah, sorry. Somehow I can see, but it's not showing for you. Just a second, I will fix it.
No hurry. We just tested it 10 minutes ago and it did, of course, work, but always what happens.
Yes. You can see it now. It's
now
supposed
it's
to
good. Yes.
work.
And then next slide, please. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Yes. So this Nomadi project has three main goals. First is to develop new business concepts for different forest services that are being offered to especially private forest owners. Then second, to support the development of new digital forest service solutions and green bioeconomy startups here in North Karelia. And third, enhance the export of technology and know-how from North Karelia to other regions and countries. And not only export, but to do exchange of technology and know-how and information. And with all this, largely respond to the challenges of climate change in Finland and globally. Next slide, please. Good. This project started last June and will run until August 23. The Finnish Forest Center is coordinating, and then we have Natural Resources Institute Finland Luke on board, and EFI is taking care of one work package. So we are three partners in this project. It is funded by the Regional Council of North Karelia through REACT EU funding instrument. And next, I'll give the floor to Arnaldo to discuss the actual work done so far.
Venla,
yes.
Before you hand over, there's a raised hand. John Casey has a question, I think.
Yeah, please.
Or maybe it was an accidental raised hand. John, did you have a question? Probably not. Okay, please continue.
Let's
Sorry.
get back to it later. All right, Arnaldo, the floor is yours.
Okay, can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much, Venla. Good afternoon for all of you. Thank you very much for your time and attention. So my name is Arnaldo. I am a Brazilian student. I had my bachelor in Brazil in the forestry field 2 years ago. I worked a little bit in the private industry and I started my master's program here in Finland last year. That is still ongoing. And during this period, I had a great opportunity to join this project with Venla, with Diana, with Michael also here at EFI. So we'd like to present you a little bit of this, what we got, what results we have. There are still preliminary results because we're in the beginning of the project, but still interesting finds, and it's going to be nice to see what's your opinion and suggestions about it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So first thing is the methodology of this mapping project. We are literally in the mapping, we're going to present the mapping part. So what we found, what companies we found related and regarding innovation, forest innovation and digitalization. As Vela said, the focus of the project is for forest landowners. But in this first phase, we're trying to go a little bit more wide to basically see what we have in the market as business. And after we can filter or we can decide like to get the companies that are more related with the solutions here in North Carolina. So the first step was the desktop research. So just to find these projects, solutions, innovations, startups, business related with forest innovation. The second step was organize a database with the description, what are the names, what the companies are doing, solutions, what are they located, and etc. Try to categorize them a little bit. And this third step, would like to make surveys and questionnaires with them. We're still elaborating these surveys, and they will come soon. So we're gonna focus in this presentation on this database finds. Okay, so here are like the main categories that we use it to classify this business and projects. It's really hard to put them in just one category because many times we find, for example, consultancy companies that they work with different categories. So it's a little bit tricky, but we were trying to put them in main categories just to understand better the main trends that we have in the market. So we have basically forest inventory, restoration, harvesting, logistics and transportation, optimization, silvicultural treatments, wood properties, and payment for environmental services. We also have some research programs like innovations and products that are still on research, but we're going to focus more on what's going on in the market in this presentation. So here we go to the main part, the preliminary results that we have. So this is the spatial overview of our results. So we found 192 observations. That was the total. And what's interesting to observe here in this global map is just most of these technologies and innovations in the forestry industry are located in Europe, for a big part of them, but we also have an interesting amount in North America, Canada, United States, and one here in Hawaii. And in South America, Brazil, we also have, mainly in Brazil, we have an interesting amount. We didn't find many things in Africa, Australia, Asia, maybe because of some language barriers, but we believe that's the main global trend, like this distribution regarding the size of the samples. Some quick numbers. So 102 observations distributed in 38 countries, 143 cities, 9 categories. and 27 forestry applications distributed in these categories. So it's an interesting amount of observations. Going to this next slide, we have here a graph with the number of observations per country. So the top ones, and maybe there's a little bit of bias in these top two, are Finland and Brazil. Probably because we're in Finland and we have more access to information. And Brazil because of language and because of context maybe. But it's interesting to see that other countries, mainly Nordic countries, Germany and Spain, they have a really important amount of observations and a rising business regarding forestry innovation. So they are leading, let's say, the global market in this field. Going to the next slide, now looking in different categories, as we saw in the previous slide. So the most important categories, like what people have more focus in these startups and solutions, are mainly forest inventory, planning, analytics, and optimization. They are by far the most important categories. But it's still interesting, like that's the third category of forest innovation products are related with payment for environmental services, especially carbon markets. It's a really, really big trend right now. There's a lot of people working with that. So that's quite interesting to keep an eye and tracking this tendency. Here, this slide, the different forest applications. So we just open a little bit those categories in different forest applications. So as you can see, these two first bars here are related with digital inventory and disturbances monitoring. That's inside of forest inventory. So basically, when you talk about forest inventory, we're talking about 3D forest models, virtual reality, the use of mobile phones to making forest inventory. They are trying to use less and less field work and try to digitalize it. That's a really, really important trend. And actually, this is also combined with monitor disturbances. So there's a lot of companies focusing in monitor pests, disease, natural disturbances. It's a really, really important trend. As we mentioned, that carbon markets are really important. They're growing a lot. And with carbon markets here, we also have value chain optimization solutions. So basically, they're related with planning, with harvesting planning of optimization, transport optimization, trying to add more value and optimize the forest management supply chain. So let's separate a little bit that map in three different areas: Europe, North America, and South America, the most important areas, we believe. So in Europe, you can see a little bit closer this distribution. So Nordic countries, as you mentioned, are leading the number of observations. We still have a really important amount in Germany and Spain. Other countries have a few observations, but they are more sparse. And looking to numbers again, so we have forest inventory and planning leading, and open it in category in applications. We see again digital inventory, a lot of companies and businesses working with digital inventory by really way more, 2 times more than the second one, that is services monitor. So this is a really big trend here. Some important points. Nordic countries, Germany and Spain, represents 40% of all the Europe observations in the sample. The main focus of these categories, this inventory and optimization, are harvesting logistics, but we didn't see many things regarding silviculture treatments. That's maybe a lack, or people didn't see a big opportunity yet regarding this process. And there's an interesting aspect. There's people are using some new business models to support carbon markets and forest restoration. using, for example, crowdsourcing business models. It's really interesting. There's some new websites working as marketplace where they connect people that want to buy carbon, they want to reduce their carbon footprints, could be big companies or like just one individual, and they connect them with forest landowners. It's really interesting. Going to North America, so it's basically all distributed in Canada and United States. All the observations here, 35 the total. Again, the main topics are forest inventory, planning, analytics, and optimization. So what's interesting to highlight here is that carbon markets are really a big trend right now in North America, mainly United States, if I'm not mistaken. There are a lot of states that are regulating carbon markets policy. The demand is increasing a lot, and there are a lot of companies working with that. It's interesting because some companies are developing new ways to access this carbon stock in forest lands. Because if you consider the price to develop a carbon project, it's really high. So companies are building how can I say, like carbon pools with a lot of small lands, so they can help medium and small forest owners to also be inside of these carbon markets and get an extra revenue. That's really, really interesting. It's a really big trend in North America right now. South America, Brazil, that's interesting to see that the main observations are in this area here, close to the coast. Is just probably because all the plantations, like we have the difference between native forest and short rotation forest. So a big part of eucalyptus and pine plantations are located here. So companies are probably trying to be close to them. So regarding innovation in Brazil, that's an interesting thing. They are following the same trends. Forest inventory and planning optimization are the top categories. But what's interesting to see, I worked for 1 year with forest owners in Brazil before I come here. And what's interesting is that there's a lot of solutions and companies, but they are focusing more in big companies. There are a lot of companies expanding and growing. So basically the landowner, they just don't focus that much in solutions in small and medium scale. So the landowners just do everything like in the traditional way, by cell phone, and going to visit the neighbor to talk about who are the companies that could plan for him or that could make harvesting process. It's really like in an old school way that they're doing. There are a lot of efforts regarding voluntary carbon markets right now. Few business focus in tropical forest management is more the focus. It's bigger in eucalyptus and pine plantations because of pulp and paper companies. And there's a lot of interesting things related to silviculture. In the short rotations forests, the silvicultural process is crucial. So there's a lot of investments and technology, innovation coming to these first steps of the forest. Some interesting pictures here from these findings. So maybe some really, really new things that are, for example, these high capacity drones. People are using a lot of drones for example, 3D points of the forest and where to do forest inventory, but also these high capacity drones are being used for example, we spray products in the forest, herbicides, insecticides, to plant, to distribute seeds in the land. In some cases, they're using drones, for example, for thinnings. That's quite interesting. So it's becoming really powerful, this technology. A lot of mobile apps to do forest inventory. So basically, you don't need to measure the tree. You just go take a picture and you can have the volume, the diameter, the height of your tree. It's really interesting. Smart sensors to get real time data from the diameter growth, and you can monitor it for the forest inventory. Mechanical planting, so we're trying to reduce the human labor in the planting phase, so some new solutions regarding it. And I think these are the more innovative one and more important ones. So going to the end, some consideration aspects from this beginning of the project. Digitalization and optimization are a global trend for supply chain. So all the supply chain people are trying to more and more optimize it, and their technology, it's a really strong point for it. Remote sensing and the decision-making softwares are already popular, but this new Internet of Things, smart sensors, live data monitoring, autonomous vehicles are things that are still coming, and they probably will be the next revolution. There are still challenges regarding it, for example, with connectivity inside of the forest, but we believe that it's gonna be solved soon. We can see different challenges regarding different countries, continents. So more international cooperation between these companies would be really amazing. We could have a lot of good sharing experiences with that and maybe create new solutions for new problems. Another important aspect of it, we can observe a lot of voluntary carbon markets, people using online marketplace, new business models as crowdsourcing. So we can see that society, the consumers' behavior are changing. People are paying more attention in the environmental aspects, not just focused by economical aspects, and the landowners are following somehow the same trends. There are more and more urban forest owners are arising, and they have different values, different opinions about their lands. They consider different aspects as recreational aspects, tourism, ecotourism. So, and what you can see, like this innovation, digitalization aspects, they are really strong, they're really important, but most of them are focusing in timber management. So they are trying to optimize the timber management. They're not looking really for another values, like non-timber oriented values. So this picture here is interesting. Maybe a reflection would be nice to have your opinion about it. Maybe people, some companies, business, startups, if you think about customers, forest owners, customer segments, maybe people are being really precise, getting a really amount of data from the forest, creating virtual reality, 3D models, but actually we don't know if the landowners are really interested in that, if they are willing to pay or willing to use the services. Maybe they're just interested in have a cottage, and I don't know, they don't need that money. So maybe we need to start to think for a more wide and holistic overview, not just in research, but also in the development of new business. Just a reflection. And the last slide, so there are the next steps. So we have this database, we have these observations, and now we'd like to talk with these companies. So we'd like to really know who are them, who are the customers, like what are the focus, what are their main challenges and needs, how they develop their products, and mainly if they're interested in international cooperation. I think that's it, Vela, if you have more extra comments, but I think that's it from my part. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arnaldo. I think all questions and comments are now welcome.
Great, thank you, Arnaldo and Vinla. Yes, has anyone got any questions? There's nothing in the chat at the moment. I mean, one of the things I just wondered about is whether, how long does the project go on for? You say you're just getting into it, and what Will you be looking at any of the particular products in any detail, sort of case studies or examples?
Diana, do you want to answer?
I can get started. You can add on it. Hi, Diana Tomasiuk, also European Forest Institute, working with Wenda and with Arnaldo. So thanks a lot. The project is running 2.5 years, and we have now half a year done. And the idea, partly also why we're sitting here, is yes, we want to get into contact with some of them, but part of the reason why we're here is we also want to hear from you and connect with you if there's some solutions you find interesting, where you would like to have connections with the companies, with the practices, something that is offered as extension services, or we think there should be some cooperation with private businesses. So we want to start to open the dialogue to sort of select where is the potential for digital innovation, particularly focus on private forest owners. So yes, we will talk more to those, but we also want to talk to you. Wenda, Arnaldo, do you want to add something to that?
No, it's perfect.
So I think we have a hand up. So Tommy, is that, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, it's Tom Hool in here. Hello, everybody. Hello, colleagues. I two just brief questions. Maybe one, if they could expand a small bit on the application of crowdsourcing business models in relation to carbon. And my second question was, is there a plan, or is there a plan maybe to leverage this project to maybe try out some of these technologies in other areas, or would that be subsequent work or a different project in the future?
Hi, Tommy. Can I answer that?
Yep.
Okay, good. So yeah, sorry, your first question is related to the crowdsourcing models, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, what are some? We don't know in details, but what some companies are doing, they're using this crowdsourcing idea. So basically, they have like a marketplace, like online marketplace. And they have a system with the landowners that have forests and are growing forests. And they also have people that are interested in reduce their carbon footprint. So they connect each other. You could be like a big company that needs a lot of carbon, or you could be just like a person that is interested in reduce your carbon footprint. So there are basically this is like the main idea of it. Some companies, they're, like I said, they can do this in a more small scale. They're using this carbon pool idea. That's like create a group of landowners that are interested in sell the carbon. In other companies, they need like more like large lands. Maybe depends of the politics or what's going on in the region or in the country. But like this is really a trend. Like this way of crowdsourcing mixed with marketplace. So in one way you have the landowners, and the other way you have people that wants to buy carbon. Basically, that's the main idea.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, go ahead, Vela, sorry.
Yeah, for the second question, I could say that the ultimate goal of this project is two ways. So first is to support the birth of new bioeconomy startups related to these themes in North Karelia, but then also support existing companies in here to scale up their businesses or work abroad, make new ties with foreign regions and companies, and to scale up their business or create new business to existing companies. So both are the goals of this project. But as you mentioned, it is early stage at this point. Diana, do you want to add something? No.
No, that was pretty perfect. So also for you, if you have interesting companies, they talk to A, B, C, and D, or talking as we work in this project also with Metsäkeskus, with the Finnish private forest owner service center. Also, the official channels is of course something we want to connect, because the whole goal goes back to activating to forest management, particularly for remote private forest owners. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
Do you have any other questions? Does anyone see how, in terms of forest extension and working with private forest owners, how these sort of products might be used in the near future? I mean, one of the things I think that in terms, a lot of these woodland owners probably won't know a lot about their own woodlands, and so some of the tools around inventory and bringing that information together would be, I'm sure, very interesting, and certainly from a sort of government forest agency point of view, just trying to collate the information around private owners, bring it together, and help support and advise them through some of these tools would probably be quite a useful sort of practice with them. Don't think we've got any other questions
regarding different countries, continents, so markets, people.
Well, so in that case, is there anything you just wanted to end up with? Any requests of the FOREXT network or anyone listening to the call from you both that for information or support or anything?
Thank you. I think not necessarily at this point. If there's no immediate reactions, maybe we can perhaps come to it a bit later when we proceed with the project, because I think there could be some collaboration possibilities with these two initiatives. But at this point, I would like to thank you very much for the opportunity to present the project and the work that Arnaldo has been doing in recent months.
Well, thank you both very much, and I think it's really interesting just to see how much has been going around the world, and particularly in Europe, and certainly we can all learn from each other. So it'd be great to hear how the project gets on in the future, and keep in touch. So thank you very much indeed.